Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially a top 80 player in the entire world. That is not clickbait. That is a fact. I have just hit 3,114 on chess.com. Yeah, and I actually played one more game and I gained even more rating. I'm ranked number 80 in the entire world. This isn't bullet chess, but I've recently crossed 3,000 in blitz as well. It's been a good couple of months. I've been playing good chess, and I'm going to show you in this video how I did it. By the way, shout out to the Chicago White Sox, who got me this incredibly beautiful Southside jersey. This thing is, I love this jersey, all right? I don't wear many jerseys, but this thing is so cool, and it's got the number 1, and it was from my collaboration in baseball I did with them recently. I've been going around to different MLB clubs, collaborated with the Nationals, the Guardians, and the White Sox, and yeah, hopefully we keep the momentum going, you know? I'm looking to do more sports collabs. I'm going to show you 5 games, some against Grandmasters, some against IMs, FMs, NMs, literally like every single title is covered. And these are all games where, you know, we go up the rating ladder. We start below 3,000. It's been a busy month. Here I'm playing Grandmaster Want to Lose, which is ironic because he probably wants to win. This is Safal Bora. I have lost to him in over-the-board games. Online, we've played each other, wow, 32 and 32. There you go. Look at that. What a balance. Anyway, this was a really beautiful game. So in this video, you're going to learn a few things about dynamic aggressive chess, and hopefully you come away with it inspired to go play a few games on your own and then lose. I played the Nimso Larsen. I really like this opening. It's very dangerous for blitz. I have no idea what this is. I mean, normally you're supposed to develop your knight. Sometimes you do go here, but yeah, I guess he's trying to play knight e7, which is, okay, certainly a move. I went knight f3, he went knight e7, and now I went knight a3. The idea is to play knight c4 or knight b5 and simply get the bishop, right? I just want my dark squared bishop to have no rival. What's incredible about this position is the best move according to the computer is sometimes, even like here, to play the move h4, which is like, I don't know how to explain that. Anyway, knight a3, I go forward with my plan, and I simply grab this bishop. And white already enjoys a nearly winning position purely from a strategic standpoint. Black has terrible doubled pawns. It's going to be really difficult to mobilize in the middle. If black tries, they simply make my bishop stronger. I can now play c4, bishop e2, d4. That would be the typical long-term idea. But this is the actual best move according to the computer, but also just like purely from an attacking standpoint. You should use your A and H pawns to target an enemy horse, enemy knight, that's on that square on B or G. So if the knight ends up on the file right next to the last one, these flank pawn attacks are very effective. Notice that would not work, right? But when it's one away from the board, especially when there's a king on the other side, you know, you do this and you restrict the piece, but also you launch an attack on the opponent. And by the way, here, based on how black played, I don't even have to castle. I can just begin a pawn storm. Now, if my opponent allows g5 and a break of the pawns in the position, it's going to be bad news, which is why Safal plays f6. Safal is a very annoying player. When I've played him in tournaments, he's very good at implementing his type of game plan, but also he's kind of, he's not going to let you have any fun. He's going to try to shut down your plan, and f6 is a very, normal move to do that. Another little thing here is that when a pawn is pushed in front of a castled king like this, that's called a hook, a spot in the position that you can use a pawn trade and get in. So, I prepared my attack. He took the center. Actually, it was better for me here to play c4, not allowing him to go d5. But I did this, and then I went d4, and we locked up the center and got a very interesting game. Now here, I was trying to infiltrate along the light squares and maybe castle the queen side, king h8, bishop d3. I was kind of baiting my opponent into playing the move e4 because if you do play the move e4, my pawn over here is going to be much more powerful. And again, bishops like open lines. As you can see, my dark squared bishop is blocked by 4 different pawns. So I want to open up that diagonal at least for one of my bishops, and in a perfect world for both of them. So that's going to be what I try to spend, time on in the remainder of the game. So knight g6 here, my idea was actually not to take with the bishop, which would attack the rook. It was actually to take with the pawn, to open up an attack on the h-file. And I actually wasn't worried about pawn takes d4. Like I said, I might lose a pawn, but I thought I was going to open up the center and be happy. Of course, the computer always knows best, but Safal chooses the wrong way. and then plays f5. And he really just needed to restrict me here. f5 is not going to do the job because g5 comes in, and now I am guaranteed infiltrating on the h-file. Even though this king is running away, my bishop is not participating, but at some point it might. I'm going to long castle, and I will get in on the h-file. So he takes. And now a very funny move from me. Bishop b5. It's not the best move. I had a better move. I could have went bishop c4, which is really beautiful. It attacks the pawn because if the pawn takes, the idea of even moving the bishop out of the way is to make way for the queen. It's a nice exercise you can give a beginner here and say, how does white bring their queen into the game as fast as possible? And it's by moving the bishop. So I went here. I didn't, you know, again, you're making a move in a second, but here comes my queen and I take on g5 and it's quite clear the attack is very potent, very powerful. I've got queen h7. I just need to get rid of these pawns somehow. My opponent goes king f8 and now I play c4 and it's quite clear, even though I've left my king in the middle now for 22 turns. Do not try this at home or on the train or at your work or at school or at the doctor's office or when you talk to your therapist. You should castle, okay? a6. And now we begin the Wreck-It Ralph process. Rook c1, we've got rook c7 incoming, we have queen h8 incoming. The king is being swarmed on two sides. Black is simply not fast enough here to defend himself. This looks really nice. It actually looks like he's completely incubated his king. But what often happens when you have an overwhelming attack toward your opponent is there is a weak spot in the position. And yeah, the bishop is not actually protecting the pawn anymore. When the king stepped here, so my opponent's going to move his queen, or there, it doesn't really matter. If he goes queen e6, rook f7, and I take the bishop, he tried to counterattack me, but he gets hit with rook f7. And not only does he get hit with rook f7, he's straight up going to get mated on the next move. He could play rook e8, but then there's bishop a3, and rook takes d6, and he actually just cannot escape. His king is completely walled in by his own pawns and my rooks, and that is how I won. Now, we ended up splitting our match. I think we went 2-2, 3-3. Folks, as we saw, me and this gentleman have played, and you want to talk about karma, you want to talk about fate. We have played 67 games against each other. Folks, I did not script this before I went live. We have both won 32 games. That is 64 squares on a chessboard, plus 3 draws, 67. Just beautiful. I know we're past the 6-7 meme now. Now all the kids are doing scuba or whatever. I have no idea. Anyway, that was the first game, and then we broke through into 3,000. Then I got paired. I was really annoyed about this opponent because this is Yaruslav Jerabu. He's a Ukrainian grandmaster, but now I guess he lives in the United States, I'm pretty sure. I think he finished college in the United States. We have played over the board several times. Maybe I got a draw, and I think he's beaten me multiple times, maybe 3 or 4 times. And when I actually got paired against him, he hadn't played online in a while. So, like, his rating was low relative to his strength, which was super frustrating. But this was a really nice game. So it was a nice game. So I played a modern defense, and and in the modern defense, white takes a very big center. Sometimes white can attack. White's going to castle in one of these ways. I played b5, and this is sort of the early preparation. Then I played like this. He's playing a little bit weird here, like knight e2. He's trying to block my dark squared bishop. I mean, I'm just kind of developing. We meet with the h pawns over here, and now I play this move knight g4 because he can't play h3. Protecting a couple of squares in the position. He goes knight g5, knight d7, kicks out my knight, and continues with his development. It's a very balanced game, and it's also a weird position because we haven't clashed with each other yet. So both of us have our knights and bishops and pawns out, but we're not interacting, right? So I go e6, he goes here, and now finally we have a clash. I offer a trade of knights just to do something. I also probably could have went queen e7. He long castles, and I trade the knights with him like this. And he opts to take with this pawn, which is quite an interesting move. And now I go queen e7, and I'm ready for long castle. I'm ready also to strike in the middle like this. He's already castled, so he goes f4. He's ready with f5. Right? Generally, if you have a lead in development, you got your knights, bishops, other pieces out. You want to attack. That's what you want to do. You want to put pressure on the opponent somehow. Now I'm evaluating here. I'm like, all right, is f5 scary? I can trade the queen. I'm anticipating it's not as bad as it looks, so let's go long castle. He now has to make a decision to play f5 or e5. He goes more positional. He plays e5. Remember, he's a grandmaster, so he's thinking, all right, if I go e5, black is going to struggle to get his bishop out. He can't really move his knight. I lock the position up completely now, so nobody can really pass. I'm going to look for c5 in the position, and that is what I do. Even though my king is there, this is the move I need to liberate some stuff in the position. I'm going to put my king over here, rotate the rooks. And over the next 5 to 10 moves, the game is going to rotate. So we are going to move this way. As the board opens up, you're going to see, look, here we go. Here. Now I rotate my king to get my rook into the game. He centralizes his bishop. I play queen c7. It's just a migration. He goes queen e3 because he's trying to move his knight and then maybe use his g-pawn. So we go on this big migration, and he plays knight c1. I don't even know what's going on anymore. We just keep moving that way. He goes knight d3 looking to get rid of my knight. I immediately jump into the middle, and then he goes rook c1, and clearly, like, the battle has shifted. I go queen a5 and rook c7, and I'm preparing stuff on this side of the board. Rook c7 is just a blunder, by the way. There is just bishop b6. I should have, this actually would have been a really interesting moment. I could have sacrificed my bishop for 2 pawns here. Bishop a3. If he had taken me, I would have taken, and he would have had a lot of open space near his king, and I would be threatening rook takes pawn, which he can't take because this would be checkmate. Anytime you sacrifice a piece for 2 pawns that opens up your opponent's castled king, you need to have at least 1 or 2 pieces in support of the queen. The queen on her own cannot do all the damage. So next time you go sacrifice material in front of your opponent's position like this, that's what you should do. Luckily, I managed to, avoid any harm, but he crashes through on that side of the board. He's created a very good stabilizing structure over here. And clearly this is bad, right? So now I have to defend myself as he is breaking into my position. He didn't go here, probably because I could play knight to b3, so he just kind of made a move. But now I zip back this way, and I'm attacking this, and this is protected, and it's going to become a pass pawn. And now, funnily enough, the game rotates the other direction. So he goes this way, I take, he has to bring his queen in this way, and knight e4. It's very funny, right? It's honestly like a football match, like, this way and that way. Knight e4 is a nice move. I'm ready to start an attack whenever. My bishop is strong, my knight is good. He goes here to take and plays rook f7, and I just immediately lose, but it's a little bit hard, right? Because he has this, but it's really never a problem, this move, because I can just take with the king, and, here I probably should have played a5 to kick the knight out, but I was like, bishop attacks rook, and also if I push, I get my bishop there, so I went here, and this just loses, because he could actually sacrifice now, and if he takes, I play, queen g2, and there's actually no way for me to hide. I can't hide. I have to go here or here, at which moment he's going to bring either in his queen or his knight, and I'm in massive trouble. The only way to survive this position is to give away my queen. Now, if he had played rook b7, this game wouldn't have been in the recap. I would have cried about it. But, we're playing really quickly, so sometimes you just can't pick up on a tactic like that. And rook c7, I immediately trade off his active piece, and I keep my bishop pair. The light squares are going to be really problematic here for my opponent, so I play g5, bishop d5, queen c4, and he doesn't have a way to get to my king, but I have a way to get to his king, either through the f-file or with the queen and bishop battery. And this position really encapsulates that opposite colored bishops benefit the side that's attacking, because he's going to make a run for it, but once I hunt his king out, bishop e4, queen b2, it's just over. Queen c2, I played queen c2, queen f2 is actually mate in 2 by force. Queen c2 is good enough, he only has 1 second, and I'm up 20 seconds, which I gotta tell you, if you're going to play a 1-minute game, you're going to be up 20 seconds, you're probably going to win, all right? So, yeah, I mean, just letting you know. So we crossed 3,000. I was working my way up. This is a game I was 3,088. I played my countryman, Akiba Rubinstein, who is actually Harshad S. I don't... Is this an Indian player? Okay, anyway, I don't... Well, I'm not from Spain. I just have the Spanish flag. I've had the Spanish flag way before the World Cup. I just really love Spain. Me encanta mucho. Every time I go there, every time I go to Spain, I have good times, good vibes. Know a lot of great people in Madrid and Barcelona. Don't know that many people from Valencia. I know like one person from Valencia. But it's great. I have an amazing time. All right. And if anybody is watching this from the Spanish government, please give me a visa. I would love to represent Spain on a world stage. That's neither here nor there. Love Spain. Got a lot of love for Spain. I thought my opponent was also a Spanish player. Maybe he is. I don't know. And it's not actually Akiba Rubinstein. Now, in this game, I played a sideline of the Caro-Kann. This is a very funny variation of the Caro-Kann. It's, D-E4, knight e4, and then you go for some sort of scholar's mate. Obviously, you don't get the scholar's mate, but your queen is very active. And then I developed like this, took a big center. My opponent brought his knight, I brought my bishop back, and my queen was doing a little bit of a dance early on. Then I traded the bishops, and I wanted to castle, so I kicked out the bishop, and I castled. The position's even. Very balanced game from the opening. Opponent goes queen c7, I finish my development, and this is the position. Now, black's drawback here is the pawn structure. While he does have some activity here, this pawn's a long-term liability. If we push these pawns into each other and they trade, my h-pawn's just gonna go. And like, if the h-pawn's just gonna move up the board, black is gonna have to commit a lot of defensive resources and suffer, you know? So he goes here, I play g3. You'll notice I'm kind of controlling the position. I'm not letting his pieces in here, here, here. Like, he can't break through. I'm going to play h3, maybe f4, maybe f5, bring the bishop back. My pieces are just slightly higher quality. Again, I'm keeping it stable. I'm not letting him break out. And at some point, my opponent redid this whole idea of trying to play f5. Right here, I had a winning tactic, I guess. I could have played c4, removing the knight from the defense of this. And then, okay, I get it. And then if here, knight f4, and then I would have, and then wherever the rook move, I would have attacked the rook. And yeah, that would have been a very nice combination. I did it like this, and I locked up the structure. And still, just on those 2 pawn moves, look at this. From this position at 0.6, this little pawn transformation, +2. Why? My structure is now unbreakable. And I have a protected pass pawn for the remainder of the game. So I just have to leave that exactly as it is. I can trade the queens. I can trade the knights. It's going to be a problem for black to defend. And also, this pawn has now been stranded in my territory. And even though my opponent managed to kind of push a little bit, I just push my opponent back here. Look at this. I kick out the knight and I go here. I didn't kick out the knight and chase the knight down. A lot of you here would chase the knight down, all right, like a crazy person and just try to, but no. We play c4, and then we just play b3, and we control the knight. Whereas if you play c5 in this position, your advantage is nearly gone. It's amazing, right? It's about controlling the pieces, not letting them re-enter the game. My opponent makes a break, but this is just game over. I mean, structurally speaking, this is just terrible for black. I go queen e3, I take the pawn, d6. Now that's a protected pass pawn, queen e5, just absolutely shutting down black. Black doesn't have a move with the queen, with the bishop, or with the knight. Nobody can move. I guess you can say queen g2. Fine, I'll let that go. But now we just have to break through. And in chess, when you have such an overwhelming space advantage, you generally have a tactic. So what do we do here? We simplify, we get the 2 pieces down, and we win this position easily. Queen trade. Everything is protected by everybody else. At some point, we're going to win the last pawn like this. And this is game over. Knight and a bishop are better than a rook, but when you're also up a pawn and you have a rook on the board to supercharge everything, yeah, this is terrible. I can just bring my king. I can play knight c5. That's exactly what I did. Black can't defend everything. Even if black goes here, I mean, first of all, we have this, but just this is winning, you know, like this is always going to win. You have 3 pawns to 1. You win. You win. So that was a nice win. And I think I'm quite even with this person. 16-11. Yeah, we've played many games against each other. So, 30-88, how did I break 3100? My peak before this was 3102. I had only crossed 3100 briefly and then got smacked, because that's the way it goes. You guys have all tried to break to your peak, and you break through your peak, and then you get diarrhea, and you lose 150 points. So, I broke through. This is Justin Lee, who I've also played in over-the-board chess before, if it's the same Justin Lee. And we've played also many games against each other. I have won 10 and he has won 5. Fair. And I played my usual pseudo-Trumpowski. Played one of my favorite variations with f3 and then e4. I love this line because you get a very nice aggressive position, a very easy to play, good attacking possibilities, h4. And when they try to, go here, you get knight f4. And this bishop is very delicate. It's in a very bad position because after I kick it back, yes, I can take on h5, but I can also open up the center, because if he goes here, I have this move. It's kind of an incredible moment where he doesn't want his bishop taken, and he doesn't want this. He takes my bishop, and then I go here. I play a Zwischenzug, an in-between move, attacking his knight and his pawn, and his bishop is still hanging, and his bishop can't do anything. Can't take any of my pieces. So I win a pawn, and I play d5. I just go straight down the middle, I long castle. I have an extra pawn, I have a lead in development, I have 7 extra seconds, I have 140 rating points on my opponent. I'm a 90+% favorite to win the position from here, but it's not 100%. Nothing's ever 100% in chess. He castles. Now, at this point, I really want to go g4. Problem is, this move doesn't do anything right now. He just takes. Okay, I can take, and then he's going to take, but as we can see from the evaluation, that's pretty terrible. I don't have any follow-up here. Plus, he's threatening to take some stuff. So first, we go here. We go d6 to shove his bishop back. The rooks are now disconnected. He'll need at least 2 turns to re-enter the game. Now, I could have played knight h5, and then g4. I could have went for this sacrifice, tried to get my pawn back. We would have opened up the file, rook g1, etc. I played a pretty bad move. I played rook g1, and then here in, like, struggling to get past g4 and it not working, I went here, which just completely hangs a pawn. Still, maybe I would have something. Now, he thought too highly of me. He went knight h7. He completely didn't see this because he just thought I wouldn't blunder something like that. And now the game concludes in a very smooth style. We take a pawn. He blocks. And you need to have this, like, ingrained in your brain. How to attack somebody when the kings are on opposite sides. We have pieces pointed in this direction, and you can pawn storm. Now I put it all together. This is a tempo-winning move. It's a good move. It attacks the bishop, and now he goes back. I can step back, but I don't like to step back. I bulldoze in. Knight takes g7. The horse kicks down the front door. Any way you take, you're in the line of sight of the bishop. White's next two moves, h5, g5. I'm going to get back my investment, and then I'm going to get directly to the king. I mean, black is playing with no rook. Black's playing with no bishop, right? He takes like this. I play h5. The bishop has to move. And this is just absolutely vicious. I am threatening so many things. I'm threatening g6 with a fork, and then it's a check, and I win the queen. I'm threatening pawn takes f6 with an attack on the queen to win the queen. If knight g5, this is pinned. So the pawn is not actually defending. Knight g5 would be decent, but it walks directly into another pin. And knight f3 doesn't work because this is a check. So, yeah, this is just an absolutely brutal position. Like, you know, you go g5, and how do you defend this as black? I don't know. I don't know how you defend this as black. My opponent goes knight takes g5. I go here, c5, I take, and my opponent resigns because you can take the bishop, but then I take the pawn attacking the queen. You can take with the pawn, I take the queen. You can take with the queen, I take the queen. Can't do anything. When your king has no more pawns defending him, the king just gets so much weaker. The pieces can't guard the king. And I used all my pieces in this game. You know, I brought everybody. He played with no rook. So this was a very nice game. Now, this last game, to hit the all-time peak, not a particularly impressive game. And actually, I've lost to this person a lot. This person... Okay, recently I've defeated this person more, but at the beginning, for some reason, I was really losing a lot of games to this person. Also, I feel like this is a Pokemon, this username. I don't know. Anyway, hey, folks, it wouldn't be a Gotham video without a Trumpowski. We do our thing. You know, we take like this, and we play e3. This is not the most exciting game ever, but it was the game that got me to my peak. All right, so this is the game that made us a top 80 player. Opponent plays h5. This is all very normal. You play f5, h5. You disallow white from making some progress in the position. I develop my light squared bishop. This is what we do, knight d7. And now I'm pointed this way. So I need to go with my pawns, and I need to soften up the structure. d5 is always running into c4. And this is the way that I like to play. So my opponent goes knight here. I play b4. I could have also played a4, rook e8, b5. It's actually a gambit, this move b5. I could have also played a4, but my opponent does this, takes. Okay. In this type of format, you are making decisions really quickly. I should have left this pawn exactly as it is. It's an isolated pawn. I shouldn't give it a friend. I should probably play queen b3, c4, expand over here. But I took positions now even. I attack the pawn on c6. My opponent, we meet on the b file. Objectively speaking, the position is completely equal. Completely equal. And if anybody is a little bit better in the long run, it might be black. He has the bishop, a little bit of empty space around my king, knight c4, knight e4, and now I have to retreat. I don't have a particularly good position. So it happens sometimes in chess. You mess up, your opponent gets a good game. So what do you do now? Let's try to trade off the knights and the knight and the bishop. We're going to have to play with queens and rooks. My opponent goes here. And for whatever reason, strikes at the middle while this rook is overloaded. You probably needed to take on d2. I trade. That's the most forcing move in the position to take the piece of maximum value. And then we trade. And I'm just up a pawn. Now, how do you win this? You can trade the queens. You can trade the pawns. Ultimately, though, my extra pawn is not anywhere on this side of the board. It's here. And if it's a 4-on-3 over here, white is probably not winning. You might need to give away this pawn, damage the opponent's structure, and that's actually worth more than being up a pawn. f5 takes, like, My opponent went queen c6. So in this position, the best move for white is f5. It's an amazing move. It's a very tough move to understand. I might even put this into my next book because, you know, you can play queen a7, which is the move that I played in the game in one move. But queen a7 runs into rook a8 and then rook a2. So my opponent's going to start winning back the pawns. f5 is the key idea. What you do with this pawn is you use your superfluous extra pawn to break at the opponent's position. And this is terrible. The king is weak, and I did that later. But it's a very instructive move. The move like f5 needs to be automatic to you as you get better at chess. In the game, I attacked the pawn. My opponent went here. I took. And now my logic was, well, when they go rook a8, you know, maybe I can take like this. They went rook a8, and I missed a really nice move here. I could have just instantly won with rook takes d6. That would have been by far the simplest solution, as the queen cannot both defend the rook that attacks the queen and defend against the rook. So that would have worked really nicely. Instead, we got this, and my opponent fought back. But still, this is possible. And f5 is very annoying. And again, it's bullet. You don't play perfectly. f5 is a very tricky move, because taking is just losing. Taking just loses. It loses because queen d8, king h7, and queen d5 attacks every important pawn in the position. And if king g7, queen g5... If the king goes back, there's rook d8. If the king goes to the h-file, I take, and then I take everything. That's basically what happened in the game with a slight modification of this. So similar position happened in the game. My opponent needs to defend against rook d8 and queen g5. And even though material is equal, black is completely lost. Black is totally lost in this position. It doesn't even matter, because if the queen goes here to try to checkmate me, rook d8, queen here is just game over. And it ended with queen h5. I took a pawn. I went here. And I took the second pawn with a check. And as we already said in this video, 3 pawns versus 1 is completely winning. My opponent tried their best. They tried to beat me on time. And I played this position in a way where my h-pawn was always eligible to be taken. But then I would go here, and there was no way to defend that pawn. So here, rook f7, and we win this position easily. We just advance. We go like this. We win 3,114. And in the last several days, I have a win rate above 75%. I think I've won 73% of my bullet games, which is, yeah, that's really good. I'm also very close to my blitz peak again. My blitz peak is 3,012, and I'm like 2,990. I keep going between 2,950 and 3,000. Keep losing games when I'm close, because I'm just like you. I get scared when I approach my peak. That is all I have for you today, folks. A couple of quick announcements if you're still here for some reason. You guys know about the book. Tour, we added some guests, and we added a stop for the European tour. We will be in Antwerp, Belgium, October the 29th. Can't wait. We have Luc van Velle, the Dutch legend. He's going to be at the Amsterdam show, which is like half sold out already. So if you want to go to Amsterdam November 1st, see you there. And we will be adding Bluebaum for Cologne, the first stop of the tour this year. So Matthias Bluebaum will be there, Luc van Velle. We're going to try to have Anna Kramling. We're going to try to have people outside of the chess world as well. More on that later. That's all. Get out of here.